What is going on, everyone? Alex here. It's been a while since I've shared a video and I'm on my afternoon walk. Thought it'd be nice to check in after a while, and I was thinking about one of the tweets that I shared on Twitter. Twitter is kind of on my mind at the moment a lot. I'm spending a lot of time there, and one of the things I shared was that the thing about Twitter is that a lot of people spend their time on there agreeing with things they want to hear. It's a sort of confirmation bias. There's a lot of that going on social media. You know, a lot of us, subconsciously or not, spend our time liking and agreeing and commenting on things and pieces of content that confirm our biases. This is confirmation bias. This is leaning towards those things that make us feel good because we're in agreement with those things, and we can spend a lot of time and energy just agreeing with stuff that we were going to agree with anyway. And this is what drives a lot of Twitter, a lot of social media and things like Twitter. And it's just an interesting sort of human behavior that we need to be aware of, I think, especially for those of us who are keen to continually stretch, continually grow. Because if we're looking to confirm our biases, if we're looking to have people say things that confirm the things we already knew and wanted to know and feel good and fluffy inside about knowing, then how are we going to grow? And what's the point of it all? What's the point of Twitter and Facebook and Instagram if it's going to be mostly about us looking around for views of other people that reflect our own? This is what echo chambers are built in, aren't they? So just wanted to kind of bring that into our awareness for this video and put a couple of coins in the pot in terms of what I think we can use from this information and this awareness. We don't want to go through life agreeing with everything that we were going to agree with anyway. We want to be conscious of those things that push us in the opposite direction sometimes, because that's going to reflect a belief in you that goes against whatever was shared, right? So if we're coming across a post or a tweet that gives us a little twinge, perhaps a little twinge of anger, or it triggers us, right? And the sad thing about triggering is that social media has unearthed a fascinating new, is it new? Not really new, but it's kind of shed more of a light on something that was always there, but it's much more kind of rampant now, the sense of people being offended by things, people being triggered by things, and how it affects their responses and behaviors. So social media has shed a lot of light on people responding angrily to ideas and concepts that they don't like the idea of, and we're seeing how people respond. They get angry, they unfollow, they block. And I think that's always a questionable at best response to a triggering. If you have been triggered by something, even if it really annoys you, you want to look more closely at that. You don't want to turn away from it like most people do. And if you want a life that is full of growth, full of learning, full of strengthening, personal strengthening, and I don't like to use the word improvement, but if we want to grow and stretch, we need to be aware of how humans tend to respond to things that don't feel good when we see them, because I don't know whether my brain is working or not today, but you know what I'm saying, right? If something is triggering us, if something prods us, we don't want to turn away from it. We want to see more closely into why that is. That's certainly been the case for me. Sometimes, yes, there have been things that people have shared online that have made me angry, and I in my more immature days, I've probably closed off more than I should have opened up in those moments. But I'm always curious these days when I come across a tweet or an idea that makes me a bit cross or makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, those are the interesting ones. If I'm constantly agreeing with stuff, then what's happening? There's nothing changing. And for me, life is about living, it's about being in a crucible and experiencing the edge, tasting risk and danger and seeing what that does to you, and enjoying the experience of transformation through that crucible. And I know that it seems a little bit petty that we might experience self-growth in the crucible of social media. It seems so artificial and fake, and it kind of is in many ways, but at the same time, social media can be a microcosm reflection of real life, and some of the things that we come across in social media can very well lead to growth if we allow it to. So be aware when you kind of working your way around Twitter, and hopefully you guys don't use it as much as I do, but when you come across a piece of content or an idea or a chapter in a book, or you come across a human being in real life that says something that you don't agree with, see if you can turn your need initially to resist and to get angry and to rage and to push against it. See if you can turn that into a kind of curiosity. Breathe through the triggering and give it a couple of seconds and ask a question. Well, why is this triggering me? What's the truth at the heart of this? Because, as I've said before, all rage is born out of an inconvenient truth. There's always truth at the heart of your anger, your triggering. There's always there's something that's true that you wish wasn't true. So when you next feel that little twinge of whatever it is, take a little look more deeply into what it is, and use this filter as you go through your experience on social media, perhaps. And also be aware of it when you are in the driver's seat of content creation as well. This is something that I'm continually aware of. I'm not here to tell you stuff that you're gonna nod like a happy donkey to. I want to share things that can provoke, not obnoxiously. I want to provoke you to benefit you, and so you can see it sort of from both sides of that creation fence. You can be the receiver and take note of when you're triggered, and you can be the creator and intentionally create things that are going to lead to questions, and that's a good thing. So I suppose there isn't really a sort of end point with this discussion, but I thought it'd be interesting just to sort of bring it to the fore, because it's something that a lot of us are involved with. We're constantly immersed these days in the experience of other people's ideas and contributions and content, and I thought it'd be interesting just to emphasize one's awareness to how we tend to respond to things. And most of us, as I said at the beginning of this video, we spend our time agreeing with things that we want to hear because it feels good, and it's validation, and it validates our actions, and it validates our beliefs. So be the one who goes against the grain, and be aware when things get too comfortable online, what's the point? You want to be turning towards the things that trigger, the things that feel uncomfortable, and question those things and get curious about those things. That is a better experience. And this has coincided quite nicely with Elon Musk's purchase, supposedly, of Twitter. He's someone who a lot of us are kind of seeing as a reflection of opening up barriers to free speech and that kind of stuff. So I thought this was a relevant moment to talk about this kind of stuff too, and we might be seeing a change in Twitter and a move towards being more open to hearing both sides of the argument, as opposed to immediately shutting down ideas that give us that triggering, because I don't think a healthy society is based on a strategy or a philosophy of closing off differing opinions. So I want to hear your opinion in the comments below. Always intrigued, always curious to hear you guys. And let me know if you want to hear about anything else from me on videos. I know that it's been a while since I've shared one, so it's good to be back. Take care.